I found a notebook this morning. My handwriting, my words, but not my memory. This is Hollow Thoughts. I need to tell someone about this. I need to say it out loud, even if it doesn't make sense. Even if I don't make sense anymore. I started writing things down 8 months ago. It seemed reasonable at the time, smart even. Small things kept slipping away from me. Appointments I'd forget, conversations I couldn't recall having, moments that felt like they belonged to someone else's day. So I bought a notebook. Simple, black cover, college-ruled pages. I wrote down the things I needed to remember. The date I changed the furnace filter, when I last called my sister, what time Sarah said she'd be home from work, what she was wearing when she left that morning. Sarah is my wife. Was my wife. I'm not sure anymore. The notes were supposed to help. They were supposed to anchor me, give me something solid to hold on to when my memory felt like water through my fingers. And they did, at first. But then I noticed something. I started noticing Sarah forgetting things too. Or, no, that's not quite right. She wasn't forgetting. She was remembering differently. I'd mentioned something she told me, something I'd written down word for word, and she'd look at me with this expression I couldn't read, like I was speaking a language she almost recognized. I never said that. We didn't discuss this. Are you sure you're remembering correctly? And I wasn't. That was the whole point. I wasn't sure of anything. That's why I had the notebook. I'd show her the entry, point to the date, read her own words back to her, and she'd shake her head slowly, like I was a child making up stories. That's not what I said. You must have misheard. Maybe you wrote down what you thought I said instead of what I actually said. And I'd look at my handwriting, my notes, the words exactly as I remembered them. But there was something in her voice when she said these things. Something patient and careful. Like she was handling something fragile. Like she was handling me. That's when I started keeping the receipts. If she said she'd always bought a certain brand of coffee, I'd pull out the receipt from 3 months ago showing something different. If she claimed we'd agreed on something I didn't remember, I'd check my notes. If she said a conversation happened a certain way, I'd read it back verbatim. I wasn't trying to catch her in lies. I was trying to catch something. And slowly, I began to see it. The thing about Sarah, the thing I couldn't explain to anyone, was that she was still Sarah. She looked like Sarah. She had Sarah's laugh, Sarah's habits, Sarah's way of leaving cabinet doors slightly open and forgetting her phone in strange places. She even smelled like Sarah. The same shampoo, the same lotion she'd used since college. But something had changed. I couldn't see it exactly. I could feel it. There was a weight to her presence now, a density, like the space she occupied had become heavier, more deliberate. When she entered a room, the air shifted differently than it used to. And her eyes, I know how this sounds, I do, but her eyes looked different. Not the color, not the shape, but the quality of light behind them. Like the source had moved, like something else was shining through. I wrote that down. I wrote it down exactly like that, 8 weeks into the notebook. I just found the entry. The light behind her eyes comes from somewhere else now. I don't remember writing those words, but I recognize my handwriting. I recognize the pen, the blue one with the chewed cap that I kept in my pocket for months. I lost that pen the night Sarah left, or the night I asked her to leave, or the night The notes say different things. There's a section of the notebook, maybe 40 pages wedged somewhere in the middle, where my handwriting changes. Not completely, it's still mine. I can see myself in the loops and angles, the way I cross my T's, the way I've always pressed too hard on downstrokes. But the letters are larger, more deliberate, like I was writing slowly, carefully, forcing myself to remember every stroke, like I knew I wouldn't remember writing it at all. And the things I wrote in those pages, they don't match what I remember. I remember Sarah becoming distant. I remember her pulling away from me. I remember the silences that stretched across our dinners like something had died between the salt and the pepper shaker. I remember reaching for her hand and feeling her fingers stiffen just slightly before she let me hold them. I remember the feeling of sleeping next to a stranger who wore my wife's face. But the notes say I was the one who stopped talking. The notes say I moved my things to the spare room, that I started eating alone, standing at the kitchen counter at odd hours, that I installed a lock on the bedroom door from the outside. The notes say Sarah asked me why. The notes say she cried. I don't remember her crying. I remember her being cold, controlled. I remember the way she'd watch me when she thought I wasn't looking, her eyes tracking my movements like she was cataloging them, learning my patterns, preparing for something. I remember finding her on the phone once, speaking in a voice so low I could barely hear her, ending the call the second I walked into the room. I remember asking who she was talking to. "No one," she said, "just my sister." Her sister lived 2 time zones away. It was 3 in the morning. But there's an entry, March 14th, where I wrote something different. It says I listened outside the door before I entered. I heard her talking to her sister about me, that she was crying, asking if anyone else had noticed that I seemed different. Different. She used that word about me. I wrote that she asked me to sit with her afterward, to hold her hand, to just be there while she worried about her father's health. And I wrote that I told her I didn't believe her, that I called her a liar. I walked out of the room and locked myself in the basement for 3 hours. I don't remember doing that, but I remember the basement. I spent so much time down there. There's a workbench I never used, tools I don't remember buying, boxes of old things that might have belonged to the previous owners, or might have been ours, or might have been someone else's entirely. I'd sit there in the dark, sometimes for hours, listening to the house settle above me, trying to hear Sarah's footsteps, trying to track where she was, what she was doing, who she might be calling, what she might be saying about me. The notes from that period are the hardest to read, not because of what they say, because of what they don't. There are entries that just stop mid-sentence, thoughts that trail off into blank space, pages torn out completely, their edges still clinging to the spiral binding like broken teeth. And there are entries that seem to be responding to something, arguments with an invisible voice. No, that's not what happened. She's lying. She has to be lying. I know what I saw. But I never wrote down what I saw. I've been looking for hours now, but there's nothing specific, just these fragments, these tight, desperate assertions that I was right. Right about what? About Sarah? About what she became? Or about what I was becoming? There's a receipt tucked between 2 pages near the end, a pharmacy I don't remember visiting, a prescription I don't remember filling. The handwriting on the receipt isn't mine. It's the pharmacist's, but my name is there, my insurance. A date, April 2nd. Sarah left on April 5th, I think. The notes are confusing about this. Some say she left, some say I asked her to leave, some say I told her she wasn't welcome anymore, that I didn't recognize her, that I wanted the real Sarah back. And one entry, just one, in handwriting so cramped it barely looks like mine, says she didn't leave at all. That entry is crossed out, heavy black lines through every word, pressed so hard the pen tore through the paper. I don't remember crossing it out. I don't remember what it means. I called Sarah's sister yesterday. I don't know what I was hoping to hear. Confirmation, maybe. Someone to tell me what actually happened, to fill in the spaces I can't fill myself. She didn't answer. She never answers anymore. None of them do. I looked at my phone afterward, at my call history, at my messages, and I saw something that doesn't make sense. I've been calling her every day for the past 2 weeks, same time each day, 3:47 p.m. exactly. 17 calls. I counted them twice. I don't remember making any of them. I remember calling once, maybe twice. I remember leaving one voicemail, polite and careful, asking if she'd heard from Sarah. But the log shows 17. And the voicemails? I listened to them, all of them. They're saved automatically in the cloud, some feature I don't remember enabling. The first few sound like me, tired, confused, asking simple questions I should know the answers to. But the later ones don't sound like me at all. There's a voice using my mouth, saying words I'd never say, asking things I'd never ask, questions about Sarah, about what she told her family, about what lies she must be spreading, accusations I don't remember making. At one point, I think it was the 11th message, the voice says something that made me stop breathing. It says, "I need someone to tell me I'm still here."
And then it laughs. A small, quiet laugh. It doesn't sound like mine. I keep thinking about that word, wearing. I used it about Sarah in the notes, over and over. She's wearing Sarah's face. She's wearing Sarah's habits. She's wearing our life like it belongs to her. But now I look at these notes, these voicemails, this version of myself I don't recognize, using my voice, my handwriting, my memories. And I wonder who's wearing who. There's one more entry. I saved this one for last because I don't know how to talk about it. It was stuck to the inside back cover, a single page, folded over and over until it nearly fell apart when I opened it. Dated April 4th, the night before Sarah left. It's not about Sarah. It's about me. I don't know who I am when she's not here. I don't know who I was before. I've been trying to remember the person I used to be, but every time I reach for him, he moves, like a reflection in water, like a face behind frosted glass. I think I've been wrong about everything. I think the thing I was looking for, the thing I thought was changing in Sarah, was never in her at all. It was in me. It was always in me. I can feel it right now, watching through my eyes, waiting, writing these words through my hand like I'm not even here, like I was never here, like there's just this thing sitting in my body, wearing my life, pretending it remembers being human. The entry ends mid-sentence. After April 4th, the notebook is empty. 200 pages of nothing, white space stretching on forever. Like I stopped writing, like I stopped needing to remember, or like I stopped wanting to. I've been sitting here for hours now, holding this notebook, running my fingers over the pages, trying to find the seam, the exact moment where I ended and something else began. But there's no seam. There's just one continuous line, my handwriting from the first page to the last, my words, my thoughts, my escalating fear of a woman who loved me, who probably still loves me, somewhere. If I could just remember where she went, if I could just remember what happened that night, what I said, what I did. There's one more thing, one last entry I haven't mentioned. It's on the last written page, right before the blank ones begin. 3 words, my handwriting, my pen, but I don't remember thinking about them. She stopped screaming. I don't know what that means. I don't want to know what that means, but I keep reading it over and over, tracing the letters with my finger like I can feel the moment they were written. And each time I read it, it sounds more familiar, like a memory surfacing from somewhere deep, like something I already know, like something I've always known. I'm going to put this notebook away now. I'm going to try to sleep. I know I won't. I know I'll spend the whole night listening to the silence in this house, this empty house, waiting for a sound that might explain everything, or a sound that proves there's nothing left to explain. If you're still here, if you followed me this far into whatever this is, I need to ask you something. Do you ever read your own words and wonder who wrote them? Do you reach for your memories and feel them shift away like they don't want to be caught? Tell me. Leave something below, a thought, a question, a fear you've been afraid to look at, because I don't want to be alone with this anymore. And if this story found something inside you, if any of it felt familiar, then maybe you don't want to be alone either. Subscribe to Hollow Thoughts. Stay with me. Let's not be alone together. I'm going back to the beginning now. Back to the first entry, the one where I still sounded like myself. I want to see if I recognize the person who wrote it. I want to see if he'll recognize me.